Hey guys, I'm Kelly and I'm a culinary producer at Tasty, and I love apple pie. Apple pie is the best of both worlds. It pairs that crispy, buttery, flaky crust with baked spiced apples seasoned with all those warming, delicious spices. But I understand that sometimes it can seem intimidating. So today I'm gonna make a 6-minute, a 60-minute, and a 6-hour apple pie to show you that you can make this delicious dessert no matter how much time you have. All right, let's get into it. First up is our 6-minute apple crisp. It's really great if you're living in a dorm, or maybe you're having that late night apple pie craving and you just need it now. So the first thing we'll do is just chop this apple. We're gonna cut nice thin slices. Since we're cooking it in the microwave, we need to cut it pretty small so it cooks quickly and evenly. We're using a Honeycrisp because it's my favorite type of apple, but you can use, whatever you like, whatever your favorite is. There's a lot of good varieties out there. Okay, so now all of our apples are diced and we're gonna put them in our mug. Our next step is to just add a tablespoon of water to our apples. And all that's gonna do is help steam them and soften them while they cook the first time. So let's go add this to the microwave for 1 minute. Okay, so now our apples have softened. So I'm gonna add a little bit of cinnamon, brown sugar, and a little bit of flour, just a teaspoon to thicken up the base so it's not like a watery mess, and of course a little pinch of salt. So we're just gonna stir this together. I love seeing the speckled little cinnamon bits. I think it's so pretty. Next we're gonna make the crumble. So we have some oats, some flour, more brown sugar, more cinnamon. We'll just whisk that together with our fork. And then the last thing we're gonna add, besides more salt, is some softened room temperature butter. We're just gonna mix this together until it forms like nice chunks. Spread these oats in a nice even layer, covering most of the apples. Put this in the microwave for 3 to 4 minutes until the top is golden brown and crispy. All right, it's out of the microwave. It's looking awesome. You can tell all those juices thickened up just from that little bit of flour, and I cannot wait to dig in. But first, a little garnish, some whipped cream, and lastly, a little cinnamon. I think this is so cute. I actually think it's really pretty. It looks awesome. Let's try it. The apples are tender, they're full of that cinnamon flavor, and the crisp is so crunchy. Honestly, this is really good. But if you have a little bit more time and you wanna make pie for more than just yourself, let me show you how to make this 60-minute apple pie. So what I love about this recipe is it's more close to your traditional apple pie, but it is not gonna take up your whole day to make it. So first thing we're gonna do is peel our apples. Make sure you have a good peeler and your work will go much quicker. So we're using 2 types of apples today. We're using Golden Delicious and Gala apples, I don't know. We're using those because they're a softer type of apple and they'll cook quicker in our pie and it saves us time. And then we're gonna slice them a little bit thinner than you normally would. So in culinary school, we had to practice our knife cuts on potatoes and carrots. So I used to sneak potatoes in my bag and take them home so I could practice because I wanted to do the best. So that's all of our apples. So now we're just gonna add brown sugar, lemon juice so they don't brown, cornstarch to thicken it, cinnamon, nutmeg, and salt. You never bake without salt. So we're just gonna toss this all together and we're gonna let it sit while we assemble our pie crust. We have a store-bought pie crust. We're just gonna roll it out a little bit wider than the width of our pan, and that's because we wanna create those really fun edges and we need a little bit of length on the end to get that. So this is looking wide enough to me. What I'm gonna do is roll it up, brushing off any extra flour along the way, and then bring your pie pan to you and gently roll it in. And magically, it's in your pan. Press it down on the bottom so it reaches the edges. Brush off any excess flour. Okay, so now we're gonna add all of those apples. We're just gonna put this in the fridge while we make our top crust. So for my top crust, I rolled it out to about a 12-inch circle. And what I'm gonna do is cut it in strips to make a pretty lattice shape on top. So it kind of upgrades our pie, so nobody has to know that we use store-bought dough. So we have to make 6 1-inch strips and 8 half-inch strips. Take your longest piece first and place it in the middle. And this is gonna be your guide. So we'll lay 2 of the half-inch strips in between each of the 1-inch strips. Pull back each of the 1-inch strips and gently place another 1-inch strip horizontally across. Then fold the 1-inch strips back down over. So you're gonna keep doing that process, alternating between the thick pieces and the thin pieces until you get that beautiful lattice design. So now we're gonna do the edge. So we're gonna do something kind of different and roll it inward, tucking all those little bits in so nobody has to see those jagged edges. We're gonna start the crimping process. So use your knuckle to like dig in and then use your thumb and index finger to push back and just keep going around. So now what we want to do is just brush off any of that excess flour, because when we add the egg wash next, we really want that to stick to the crust. And now our last step is to add some raw sugar on top just to give it another little crunch. So we're gonna bake this in a 425-degree oven for 40 minutes, covering halfway through until the crust is golden brown and the juices are bubbling. Let's go. All right, she's out of the oven. She's golden, she's glossy from the egg white. I'm really excited to try it. Let's dig in. I like don't want to cut her because she's too pretty. For a 60-minute pie that came together with just a little bit of effort, the filling has tons of cinnamon flavor. The crust is super crunchy and that raw sugar just gives it that little bit of edge. But if you have more time and you really want to impress your friends and family, stick with me for this next recipe. Now I'm gonna show you how to make my 6-hour salted caramel deep dish apple pie. So first what we're gonna do is just season our flour, then we're gonna add in our cold butter. I cut this in about 1/2-inch cubes and I actually popped it in the freezer for about 15 minutes just so it's really cold and firm. So what I like to do is like make sure each of the pieces is coated in flour before I start smashing them and toss it onto the next one. Also, I find this therapeutic. Like I can just zone out. The kids yelling at me, I can just zone out and just keep doing my dough. Okay, so that is looking awesome. The next step is to add ice water, a tablespoon at a time. So I like to toss it up in the air like this just to incorporate that water and then add a little bit more. So we're using ice cold water because we don't want to melt that butter. And you know that there's enough water in it when you press together and it holds together. So now that this is shaggy looking, I'm gonna transfer it on the table and finish bringing it all together. I'm gonna wrap them in plastic and just pop them in the fridge for about an hour to let the gluten relax. And while that's happening, we'll make our filling. So for this filling, we're doing something a little bit different. This time we're gonna par cook the apples before they go in the oven to bake. So to start, we have 2 tablespoons of unsalted butter melting. We have a big bowl of apples. I'm gonna add them right in. We have the juice of 1 lemon, brown sugar, salt, of course. So this is pumpkin pie spice, and you might be saying, Kelly, what the hell are you doing? But listen to me. It has cinnamon, it has nutmeg, ginger, cardamom. So we're adding a bunch of that. Okay, and you might think I'm crazy again, but I'm adding a little bit of vanilla. Vanilla isn't something you would traditionally find in apple pie, but Martha Stewart does it, so I'm doing it. Okay, so stir it. We want to cook it until the sugar is dissolved. So we have a little bit of cornstarch, and I'm just gonna add some water to make a slurry. And what this does is just incorporates the cornstarch without lumps. So crank the heat up and let it come to a boil, and then once it's thick, we can set it aside and move to the next step. So since this is an epic apple pie, we're gonna add even more apple flavor by reducing some apple cider. I learned this trick from a pastry chef where you reduce down cider until it's the consistency of like maple syrup. It's looking great. I'm gonna let it cool and then we will go assemble our pie. So I got my dough here. It's been chilling for an hour. Now I'm just gonna roll it out till it's about 1/4 inch thick. All right, so this is rolled out. I'm gonna do the same technique. Roll it back on the pin and then roll it back in. Press it down. We're gonna add in all of those apples. So I'm gonna pour over that cooled apple cider that I reduced down. This is our secret ingredient. Put this in the fridge while I roll out the top crust. All right, so I rolled out my top crust and now I'm gonna add it on top and then we'll finish assembling. Press around the sides to make sure all of the edges are sealed together. Then we're gonna take a pair of scissors and just kind of clean up any long edges. I'm gonna tuck it under this time. Now we're gonna do the same technique as before with the crimping. We're just gonna do them a little bigger so they're a little more exaggerated. Brush it with some egg wash. So now we're gonna cut some slits, and what this does is help the steam release as it's cooking so you don't end up with a soggy top. Put this in the freezer for 20 minutes to harden back up, and then we'll put it in the oven for 80 to 90 minutes until these juices are bubbling and thick. So the apple pie is in the oven. It smells great. I cannot wait. But to make it even more epic, we're gonna add a thick, gooey caramel sauce on top. First, we're starting with sugar and water. To make it even more foolproof, I'm gonna add a little bit of corn syrup. It helps prevent crystallization, and it will also keep that really glossy shine that we want for the top of our pie. Now that everything is in the pot, you're gonna bring it to a low boil and cook it until it turns a light copper color. So I say caramel. Some people might say caramel.
Caramel.
Caramel? Wait, what am I saying?
Caramel.
Caramel. Like, it sounds very blunt to me. Caramel. 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 So this looks perfect. It's like the color of a copper penny. We're gonna turn off the heat and add all of the heavy cream. It's gonna boil up, so don't be scared. Keep stirring until all the cream is incorporated. I'm just gonna let it cool and then we'll top our pie with it. All right guys, it is out of the oven. It's beautiful. The last step is to pour this delicious caramel sauce over the top. We're just gonna let it drip down the sides. Oh my God, it's so thick. It's glossy from that corn syrup. The last step is these candied pecans. It is finished. It is mile high. The sauce is dripping off. I cannot wait to try this. That is some serious pie. The crust is the best part. Like, I'm a sucker for crispy crust, and this is like, it's buttery. I could just eat the crust and the caramel sauce. All right, well, that is it for us. Today we have made a 6-minute, a 60-minute, and a 6-hour apple pie. I hope you guys make them and love them as much as I do. Leave a comment below and let us know what you think. And just remember, there is always time for apple pie.
Oh, yes!